Spain qualifying for the semi-finals, which isn't until October. They're going to be joining Sweden, Germany and France. The draw for that, for the final, for the semi-finals, is on the 6th of June, if you want to keep an eye on that. England finished the group second, so they don't get relegated from Group A, which is very important, but they're not going to be seeded as high as the other teams. So obviously that's disappointing when it comes to the World Cup in 2027. It'll be a little bit of a more difficult run in the qualifiers. Belgium, they go into the playoffs. Portugal, they are automatically relegated, and that's because they lost 3-0 to Belgium earlier on in that full time. OK, guys, so just a quick reaction, I suppose, because all in all, quite disappointing for England not to go into the semi-finals of the Nations League, Karen.
Yeah, of course, we wanted to get there. To be fair, I don't think both teams played their best tonight. I think the changes in the second half really kind of hampered England, and I think we felt a little bit disconnected with each other. I think it's a positive because Serena's had a lot to learn from tonight, particularly going into the Euros, but obviously for that qualifying, it's not the result we wanted.
Anita, I suppose that is the positive, that we got to see a few more faces and stuff, so there's stuff that she could have learnt from that. But, you know, in the long term, you're kind of looking ahead to the World Cup, and I know we've got the Euros right in front of us, but you're thinking, I hope we don't get a backseat for that.
Yeah, of course there are implications for that, but, you know, her focus right now is the Euros, picking a squad for that and getting the right selection. So she needed to see the relationships on the pitch. She needed to allow players to get minutes and manage the minutes against good opposition as well. Claudia Pina was the only change that Spain made at the beginning of this match. And then she obviously had a point to prove because she came off the bench and after 90 seconds she equalised, Karen.
But I think Lucy called it in comms. You know, she's been on fire all season for Barcelona, and I think she's more influential for them when she comes off the bench. What she did really well was she never got picked up. No, when she kind of goes into these spaces and she's always unattended. And I think it was a bit like, does Missy Bow-Kearns go to her? Does Jess Carter go to her? And look, England don't clear the lines. First ball, second ball, that's your golden rule, especially around the centre of the pitch. But she glances it onto her left foot. I don't know if Hampton is, you know, caught blindsided by bodies in front of her. I think she gets a hand to it. I think she'll look back and go, I'm disappointed it's not right in the corner. But I am being hypercritical because we're playing Spain and this is a game that we have to look on, that we might get in a semi-final and final of a Euros. So a little bit disappointed to concede in that manner.
Let's do the second goal from Pina, because this was 2-1. This was outside the box. A lovely finish from her.
Yeah, just pure quality. You know, she's come on with immediate impact. She's done that for Spain time and time again. Again, she's off the back shoulder in pocket of space, waiting for the opportunity to get the ball. And the chop inside just unleashes that shot that grazes the inside of the post. It's a brilliant finish, but England, you can see the gaps are getting too big. There's no awareness of who's going to pressure. And in that instance there, again, you know, midfielder here, Missy Bow-Kearns, just allows her to come back inside. And really, you want to show players like that outside and away from the goal, because she had the whole goal then to aim for. And that just became a problem with some of the changes. They just got a bit more fatigued and the gaps opened up.
Let's hear what Leah Williamson, the captain, made of that performance. She's speaking with Katie Shanahan.
Leah, not the result you would have wanted. How did the game get away from you in the end?
I think in the second half they pressed a bit higher. We struggled. We couldn't keep the ball as well as we had done in the first half. And we didn't really have any real threat. So, yeah, I think under that much pressure with the top side, sometimes that's what happens. They get two and they win the game.
So why do you think that you faded away, and how can you fix that in the moment?
Yeah, I think we just have to be a bit better on the ball, find solutions quicker. A great lesson. I know we always say it, but it is a great lesson. And I think maybe that's been the inconsistency throughout the campaign, us on the ball defensively as well. So it's something to work on, but I think we have the capability to do better.
How big a concern is that? Because we've only got one game before the Euros.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, because I think we know what we are capable of. I think it's just seeing different, the game changes constantly, teams change constantly, and we have to be able to adapt a bit quicker. But it's a different mindset now. You know, we have time to build and really push ourselves to be ready for the start of the tournament.
Is it a reality check of how much work there is to do before the Euros? Because it might have dented the team's confidence.
No, I think especially first half, there's a great display. I thought for the most part we looked solid and we felt solid. So it's good for us. Like, we feel good. There's just tweaks that need to be made, and it's disappointing because that's a competitive fixture and that's an important campaign to us as well going forward, with rankings and seedings and all of that. But I think you saw maybe the best of us the previous game and just slightly off it today.
Thanks, Leah.
Thank you.
OK, so some of the positives you can take from that, obviously, we needed minutes for players like Lauren Hemp, Alex Greenwood. They're getting their minutes, and sometimes, like, it is obviously tiring and it is a stretch when you haven't played for a long time. But those are the minutes and those are the times that you need to get in ahead of a big tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the players need to be exposed to it, experience it, suffer a little bit, because that's going to get them as prepared as possible going into the Euros.
What do you think, Kaz?
No, I agree. I think for me, like, Lauren Hemp particularly is one of the world's best players. I really do believe that. And because she has had the injury, she hasn't had the 90 minutes. And I think it's really important, you know, for any player that's been out for that amount of time to get that 90-minute under your belt, that you don't go into a tournament thinking, haven't played a full game. So as Anita said, the word suffer sometimes. You know, in that second goal, you gave it to Lauren. Maybe she's a little bit tired, fatigued. But you've got to kind of go through those moments, because the bigger picture for the summer is Alex Greenwood, Hemp, you know, giving these players minutes that we need.
We said before the game started, Anita, that this was an important win for England to get under the belts if they could do it to go into the semis, but also psychologically. Is there any damage, do you think, from this game for them?
No, I don't think there's damage, but I think they will definitely have identified that there were problems in the game that they couldn't quite solve. So that's the big test now tactically for Serena to go back and look at, you know, do the players really understand tactically how to nullify space?
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to hear from Serena Wiegmann after this very quick break, find out what the England manager made of that performance. England going 1-0 up in the first half and then 2 go down in the second half. They are out of the Nations League. They won't make the semi-finals. More reaction next.
Serena, a goal up at half-time, a different story in the second. How do you sum up that performance?
Very intense game. Of course, we know that they are very tight on the ball. I think we did well. I thought after the first half that they had a little more the ball, but we saw that we had the ball a lot too. I think we could have been a bit tighter, a bit more patience in the first half too, but you could see where we could harm them. I think a couple of more times we would not have been offside, or played a little quicker behind, or switched the game, switched play quicker. We could have harmed them even more. And I think the second half, they started really quick. They did something different. They pressed even high, and we had some trouble to get out of that first, or out of the press and keep the ball. And of course, then they brought Pina in, and that, yeah, she was very, very secure with her shots.
Were you concerned then by how you couldn't hold on to the ball in the second half?
Well, concerned, that's a learning moment. That's a learning. So, yes, I would not say concerned. They did something different. So then you want to exploit the spaces they leave in behind. But then first you need to keep the ball. And, yeah, that's not easy. But something to take with us again moving forward.
How do you think Hannah Hampton got on tonight?
Well, I think, of course, she was put on a lot of pressure, as the whole defense, a lot of pressure. So there were many, many moments where there's a lot of players around her, crosses, runs in front of her. So I think that was a good game for her to experience that too.
1 game to go before the Euros. What needs to improve? Because you haven't got long to fix it.
To fix it. Not sure what you mean with that, but I think we're good on the way. What you've seen this week, we had a very good week. Players coming back from injuries, players fighting for the position, fighting for minutes or for selection, and I think that's very positive. And yeah, now they take a couple of, well, some will keep training because they need to train. Others will take a couple of days off, and then we move forward, come together, get ready for Jamaica and then for France.
Thanks, Serena. Thank you.
Katie just running for cover now after the interview. Look, all important questions that need answers. And she's saying, look, we don't need to fix anything. At the end of the day, it's a competitive game against Spain and you want to put your best foot forward. And Katie is right. There is only 1 game now, and it's a friendly, of course, against Jamaica at the end of the month, that they have time to kind of, I suppose, not fix it in Serena's words, but just do something to prove that they are ready for the Euros. Do you think, seeing on the proof of today and what you've seen, they are ready and they're going to actually go deep in the competition?
Yeah, I think they know that there's areas that they can continually improve on. They are playing one of the best teams in the world in Spain. You know, there was always going to be challenges posed, but the most important thing is making sure that the right players are getting the minutes they need to feel as prepared going into the competition, and that those relationships are there on the pitch.
And the squad is announced on Thursday, and do you think that she is now in a position as well, Serena, where she knows her team? And when you look at this, Karen, I mean, this has got to be whittled down, so we need to go from 27 players, I think we've got up there, to 23. And we know, of course, that there's a couple of players that we are sweating on the fitness. So Lauren James, we really hope that she's going to make that squad. She said she's on course, and fingers crossed she's doing everything she can to make it. Millie Bright, of course, who was withdrawn for the last couple of games because she's experienced a form of burnout. Mentally, physically, she is just at her limit. So fingers crossed, those are two very key players to get back in. Where do you think, Karen, are the key battles here?
I think from tonight, it's that centre midfield role, because obviously Grace Clinton was suspended and Georgia Stanway got 45 minutes, and I think she's had limited football, you know, the last few months. And then you had to put in Missy Bow-Kearns on her debut, and she's an excellent player. She's an excellent young player, under 23 captain, but that's a big ask for a young kid to go in on the debut to play against Spain. So that midfield kind of... I'm struggling with that a little bit. And obviously I'm an attacking player, so would you take Agyemang and maybe lose a defender in that? That's my personal preference, but I'm not sure Serena would. So there's certainly some big question marks that she's got to go. Does she go with the younger player, as I said? Nikita Paris, I think, has got great experience, and we've seen her have a chance, and I think I like her grit and determination. So, yeah, look, I wouldn't want to be Serena.
I'm looking at the goalkeepers, and one thing that stands out, obviously, Hannah Hampton doing really well in her England career, but none of those three have any tournament experience in terms of caps in majors. Hannah's been to a couple and as a squad player. That's quite a lot of inexperience in a very important position.
Yeah, it is a lot of inexperience, but goalkeeping is the one area where they consistently have to be ready no matter what and adapt to any scenario. The worry is, of course, if your goalkeeper gets sent off or injured, you know they've got to step in and do a role. But as we've seen, Hannah's stepped into the England role with minimal caps as well, and has done largely really well. Yeah,
as we said as well, that game against Jamaica, we do have that still to come. It's going to be on Saturday, the 5th of July, so you can have a little look at that. That's going to be King Power Stadium in Leicester, 29th of June, my mistake there. So, guys, look, there's a lot of football still to be played elsewhere, obviously, that we can watch. But in terms of this England squad, we'll know on Thursday who that team is that's going to be prepared for the Euros. And then, obviously, we'll just see how we're going to get on. What are your thoughts on England going deep in this competition?
I think we need Lauren James.
Yeah.
Need Millie Bright back for experience as well. I think it's great that we've got some fitness for people like Kemp and Greenwood. That's really pleasing. If we get them back and fighting, I'm in a good position with them. I'm confident for the group.
Yeah. And our first game, France, Saturday the 5th of June. That one is going to be massive for England. We're going to be doing that one against France. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, massive test again, a really big side, but I agree with Karen. If we can get those players back fit, they'll do fine.
Thank you so much for watching. In the end, a disappointing night for England, but all eyes now on Switzerland. We'll see you there.